8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, and happy Monday. Here we go. One more day with Lunch with Faride, and I hope you're ready to have a great conversation with me. We're going to be talking about the transition from going to being an employee to being an entrepreneur, or what we like to call the E2E movement. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with a great conversation.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way.
Well, good afternoon, and happy Monday. Welcome to one more episode of Lunch with Faride. Today, I'm excited to bring you another great conversation, and I hope you're ready to participate. Today, we'll be talking about the E2E movement, which means going from an employee to becoming an entrepreneur, and what that entitles, and how you should prepare for that, and what you should be looking forward to, and also what you should be watching out for. So today, it's a great topic, only because obviously it comes dear to my heart. I've been an entrepreneur most of my career, most of my life. I really have never worked for anybody. I think I've had, maybe in my 30-year career, I probably had two people that could call themselves my boss, which was, something that I learned, and I chose to do that just so I could learn what it was to be on the other side and learn to become a really good boss or a really good employer. So anything in life that you want to do, you want to make sure that you put the time into to make sure that it's developed in the most successful way. So today, I hope that you participate with me. Let me see. Yay! We have Jorge joining us. Jorge, you should be on camera with me. Because you are a great entrepreneur. And I know for a fact that you could share some light with us. So if you like to join me on camera, let me know. I can send you a quick invite, okay? And you can jump in with me. But in the meantime, we'll be talking about what is the E2E movement. Well, none other than just a transition to teach employees how to go from being an employee, from having worked all the time under somebody else's company, to transition into going to become self-employed, or a business owner, or owning your own business. So becoming an entrepreneur. So with this conversation, my goal is to get you to think that anything is possible. I know many employees out there, deep inside of them, they have this desire to one day own their own business. And I'll give you an example. I used to own Jacalito Grill in Rancho Cucamonga. And so when I owned Jacalito Grill, I've always tried to take care of my employees in a great way, not only compensation wise, but also flexibility. And because I understand that being a single parent, sometimes you have to go and tear yourself apart to be able to be at your child's events, or be at their important milestones, and then also be very responsible at work. So I always try to be very understanding and allow my employees to choose the days that they wanted to work, not implement that. And also choose the days that they wanted off. And as long as they amongst each other covered the responsibilities of the restaurant, I wasn't too worried about who showed up. Of course, there was always better employees than others. So I try to entice the better employees to not take too many days off. But at the end of the day, I gave them flexibility. And I would sit down with them. I would go to the kitchen and sit and talk to the cooks, and or I would sit at the register and talk to the hostess, or I'll just sit there and have conversations with them. And a few of them would tell me every now and then, because one of the questions I always took time to ask my employees was, if you were running this restaurant, at that point it was a restaurant, but I do the same with my agency now. I would always ask them, if this was your restaurant, if this was your business, what would you do different from what we're seeing today? And I love getting their feedback. So I always knew that I would become a really good employer, or a really good boss, if you want to call it, because I was never anybody's bosses. But I always knew that my employees appreciated that I used to take the time to do that. So one of the things, there was a few of them that would always say, well, that's my dream. I wish I could own my own restaurant. I wish I could, it be my recipes here. I wish I could do it this way. Or I wish I could do it that way. And so it taught me that not every employee that is employed by companies wants to be there. They do it for many reasons. They do it for responsibility. They do it for fear of, not having a stable paycheck coming in. So they don't have that mentality that an entrepreneur has. And so when I say that, obviously I don't mean to bash anybody, because we need everybody. Okay, we need the employees. We need great employees. We need committed employees. What we don't need is the fly-by-night ones, right? The ones that just do enough just to keep their paycheck rolling, just to stay under the radar. Those type of employees are the damaging employees for everybody else, because they make the overall employer lose profitability. And then it becomes a disaster, because then the ones that are really accurate and good have to kind of pull out the work for the ones that are slacking it. Many years ago, I had, I came across a person that used to tell me that he would go partying all weekend, and on Mondays he would stay low, and he would go to the warehouse and sleep in the boxes. Well, I'm not sure if he was telling me that to impress me, but I absolutely can tell you that didn't impress me. I didn't think he was clever. I didn't think he was smart. I thought he was taking advantage, and that spoke a lot about his character. So with that said, I can tell you, yes, okay, so Jorge's going to join me, because this is such a great conversation. So hold on, Jorge. I am sending it to you right now. There we go. When Jorge joins me, we bring him on here, because he is a great entrepreneur, and we do need to talk about this. So with that said, we found out that there was many employees out there that have a dream and a goal to become an entrepreneur, but they have no roadmap on how to do it. So what does being an entrepreneur mean? Have you guys ever thought about that? Have you guys ever thought about, why would somebody in their right mind want to have so much responsibility? Well, I can tell you why. I can definitely tell you that the reason why people do not want to be employees and they want to take on the responsibility of being an entrepreneur is because of the lifestyle that entrepreneurship can give you, that you will no way have it being an employee. There is no way. There is not one employee out there. And if there is, it's probably the top 3% who have a type of lifestyle that an entrepreneur enjoys. So being an entrepreneur is the lifestyle, owning your day, having flexibility in your schedule and your day and what you do, and having the freedom to work when you want, where you want, and how you want. It all comes back to how successful you want to be as an entrepreneur, correct? So have that in mind. Now, not all of us are born to be an entrepreneur, and I know that. Not all of us. Hang on a second. I think Jorge's coming. Yay! Okay, hold on. I get so excited when I see my friends join me. So let me see. So this is Jorge. Yay! How are you, Jorge?
Very good, very good. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. So thank you for joining me in my talk today. We're going from the E2E transition, right? The employee to an entrepreneur. And I would love for all of you guys who don't know Jorge, it's a great friend of mine. He is a mentor. He is somebody that I look up in business. And he's also the one that watches my mistakes. So
the one that you called boss one time.
That's right. So, Jorge, please tell me, what is your experience? So right now we're on the space of what it means to be an entrepreneur. What can you tell us about that?
Well, definitely. It's a dream of everybody to be their own boss, right? So nobody dictates when you go to work, when you don't go to work, also you determine how much money you want to make, you determine your lifestyle, your wealth, or, many goals on your own. But definitely the biggest mistake that most people make is that, imagine that you have a skill, and I always use the shoemaker skill, that imagine you are a great shoemaker, you work for a company, and you always talk bad about your managers and the owner of the company because you say, without me, they have nothing because I'm the greatest shoemaker. So I'm going to open business on my own. I'm going to, open my own, go in business with my own. But then you realize that, going in business on your own is not just making shoes. It's also running the accounting, the inventory, the overheads and whatever. And that's where most people fail and most people die because they don't know that running your own business is not just based on your own skills. It's knowing about how to run a business. And that's where most small businesses die in the first 3 years, So you got to finding the right career, the right, business to be entrepreneur. It's mostly, it's a little bit try and error because you're going to go in business and you're going to fail. I mean, tell me one successful person in the entrepreneur world that did not go broke. Or they haven't. And so, you be ready. You got to be ready for failure. And that's why it's really a mindset game. That's where most people are not ready for it.
And you know what? In regards to that, you got to be prepared. You got to be not only financially prepared, but very much so mentally prepared because you will go broke. You will. Now, I know people, Jorge, and you can tell me your thoughts. I know people that, we're in our young 40s, right? In our young 40s and young 50s. And we have like-minded individuals. So we have people our age that we hang out with. And so when it comes to being 40, 50, 60 years old, and you talk to individuals that have been employed in companies for such a long time, and you tell them, how come you never went into business for yourself? The one thing they say, they don't want the headache. But what I tell them is, I don't know if it's the headache that you're afraid of. I just think you don't have the gut to withstand, all the adversities that you're going to face to potentially have the life of your dreams. So when it comes to that, I want to pinpoint that mentality, right? Why do people keep going being an entrepreneur when everything seems to be failing?
Well, it's a skill, I believe. the possibilities on this side of the fence could be so great, that the dream of that keeps people challenging to jump over the fence, and keep taking those risks. But which brings another thing, you're looking for risk takers, if you are not a risk taker, you're not an entrepreneur, and that's one thing that actually keeps people on the safe side of it. And then you settle for that lifestyle. And if you settle for that lifestyle and you want it simple and whatever, and you enjoy what you do, because remember, most people change, to the entrepreneur side because they literally hate their jobs. It's just like, and that's why, most people decide to become entrepreneurs. But I was very unhappy with my engineer careers up to the point that, I had some good years. I'm not saying that I hated my job all the time, but gosh, I was never very good taking orders, for example, and that's another leadership failure of most corporations, is that you work for somebody that, gives directions or orders, I would call, without any leadership skills. It's almost like I always say, how do I make people do the things I want them to do without me telling them? And those are leadership 101. And in corporation, that's very scarce. It's not out there. And so that's where most people end up not hating their jobs, but they are hating the people that they work with. Their boss. It's like, oh, I hate my supervisor or whatever. And and it's a lot of factors. But I always, since I was a kid, I always wanted to be in business on my own. But I worked for corporate for over 20 years. So but always, the dream was always there, and it's been now 15 years.
So when you were an employee, and I know you were an awesome engineer, you thought you had it made, right? You were already making six figures. So
yes.
People were probably thinking, what, I'm not going to beep it out, but, right?
Why
would you give that stability up? Do you think that was stability for you?
No. I come from a country, Argentina. I grew up there. That a job was never guaranteed, and neither is here, actually. I get scared when people wear the company's T-shirt so much without being honest, or a portion of ownership, because I think that those are the people who might go postal, just like the definition says, because, gosh, you're going to feel so let down the moment that the company has to let you go. And the company is all about profits. And we are just, an employee is just one element on the business structure. If the company is not profitable, they will have to cut overhead, and including that are people. So it's very, very difficult to run a company and be very friends with everybody as employees, because there's going to be a moment that you have to let them go. So for the people that are so passionate about being an employee, they will feel so betrayed the moment that the company fires you. And it's nothing personal. And that's exactly the thing. An employee is nothing personal. That's what we say. You're a number, in a company at the end of the day, sadly. We just can't keep that relationship if we want to maintain a keep. Now, the company's, over profitable, and everybody's happy. And there's some companies you could be an employee for 30, 40 years and retire there, which they're not that often to be seen today's days. Companies are, I don't think there's a bunch of new companies out there. I consider Microsoft a fairly new company, so we don't know, so big companies could go bankrupt too. Look at Enron, and what happened, back in the day. So I don't know. I don't think being an employee is safe, if you're asking me. Going back to that, no, you could lose your job, and that's exactly why I always had, the entrepreneur minded. I always wanted to have a side business that in case I lose one income, I don't go from income to zero. I go from income to less income, but not zero income. That's very dangerous. Mostly living in the United States, that we finance everything, literally. So anything that you don't paid off yet, you will lose if your income disappears. So no,
yes.
I think that's a very risky position in that aspect.
So Jezebel is saying we are just an employee number. And, for many companies, that is so true, Jezebel. It's so true because they don't take care of you guys. I mean, when do you see the owner of the president of the company coming to sit down at a luncheon, at just a regular day? We're not talking about no event plan, but when do you have them come sit down and talk to you about how you're feeling and how, never, never.
And I don't think you want that. I mean, really, imagine I'm the owner of the company. If I get too personal with my people, I will feel horrible letting them go.
Well, that's why they do it, right, Jorge?
And at the time, I will have to. There's no severance package that's going to make you feel great. So unfortunately, and that's why I say, it's being a number. Yeah, it's being a number. It's a little bit, cold, but I mean, we got to prepare to be like that. And by the way, nobody tells you that you have to be just an entrepreneur. 45%. We just read the statistics no long time ago. 45% of Americans have a side gig. You know what that means? 45% yes. of the Americans have an entrepreneurial mindset. Because they have a side gig. They do something on their own on the side. And I would say that's awesome. I mean, it should be 100% of the people do that. And then guess what? The next time you look for a job, you look for a job that you really love to because you don't need the income that badly because you have a side
right.
gig. So
yeah, you bring me to my next idea, right? Most employees, as you mentioned, they're unhappy. They only go to work because they have to feed a family, because they have to pay the rent or their mortgage. But how many, do we know the statistics of how many employees are actually really happy to be in that company? Do we know?
No, I don't know, but it's
you want to take a wild guess?
A wild guess, probably 20%. I used to talk to individuals. I used to drive a gas car, so I lived in gas stations for a while. And I used to talk to a lot of people in the mornings while I was fueling my car. Everybody was heading to work. This was like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And honestly, I could never find one person that was happy heading to work that early in the morning. Honestly, I did that for like 5 years, because I had a weird schedule. And no, everybody, I just say, hey, where are you heading? San Diego, Los Angeles, whatever. And I say, how is that? Oh, I hate it. So and that was the answer most of the time. So sometimes I used to take this 2 minutes conversation to encourage them and say, hey, maybe you should start looking into something else, something,
right.
There's a way out. And the way out is have a side gig, part-time, That's the way out.
So here's an example. Jezebel says she enjoys her job very much. And I know she does because she will take time away from her family time to do stuff for her job. And I've seen that of her. So she's probably one of those ideal employees that everybody wants to have on their payroll, right? But she knows that she could be let go at any time. There could be any new regulation. There could be any one mistake that happens that leads you to lose your job. So don't bank on your job as that's the only thing in the world. But she says, hey, that's why I have my side jobs. And this is exactly why I decided to do this show today, Jorge, is because I've had so many people ask me, well, what is it that you do, Faride? What is it that you do? And it's like the most normal question that I get. And you and I, we know that we work with people in leadership roles. Like we work with people showing them how to transition into a business. Now, we get it. We have our own business. We will benefit by that. I mean, I'm not Mother Teresa. I probably, I do have a nonprofit organization, but I do need to make a living. So we know that if anybody was looking to transition into the financial services industry, whether it's, a life insurance agent, a health insurance agent, securities, meaning an investment, license agent, a representative, any of that, we can help them through WealthWave. And I know that, right? And the biggest leadership I'm sorry, the biggest advantage that we have in a business or a platform like that is the fact that we have a holding hand method. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, yeah, we have
So
access
how
to
is that different? How is our model different, Jorge, than actually, because you've had both and I've had both. I've had the brick and mortar where, you know, we go buy our own product, we stack our own shelves, and we sell our own things. And then this model where we acquire a platform to kind of hold on to. So how do you differentiate both of them for people that are curious?
Well, definitely, if I'm looking for a part-time career or a side career or a side gig, whatever we want to call it, you know, I went into the specifics that businesses that were a little bit more riskier. So the number one is we need to find out that the startup capital fits our budget, you know, which is for most people zero. Okay, because most people, you know, how many ask you and say how many people wants to be their own boss? Everybody. Okay, how many people has any startup capital to start doing that? No. Okay, so that's one. So you got to start with something that requires a minimum startup capital. The second one is I will look into one that is actually no inventory or low inventory. And today's days, pretty much a service provider. Look into the service, you know, type of business, you know. Number three, super low overhead, because that's what kills people in the first 3 years, you know. Until you become profitable, your overhead can kill you. And that goes in hand by hand with the startup capital, you know. Startup capital at the beginning is for overhead. So our business, you know, and also which mentor can actually help you to, you know, get together with somebody who already done it successfully that can teach you, you know, how to do that, which is super difficult to find because if I wanted to be, I don't know, let's say making cupcakes or whatever, and I'm good baker, but who will help me out there that has a successful bakery company to teach me when they have no investor interest, you know? And so in our business, particular business, we have all those four factors lined up. They're not the only ones, but is the one that we have almost zero investment capital, you know, no inventory, low overhead, and then access to, you know, successful people that have the best interest to help us to get successful. So that's the key element, I would say.
Okay, and so for me, I knew that I was looking for all those key elements. You know, I had just invested into a solar company that it cost me $250,000 investment, right? And you remember that I told you that from day one. So I knew what it was to do a big investment overhead. I knew that. But then when I found this model and I said, what? You know, how come it's not costing me anything? But most employees don't think that. When we go on and approach them and we tell them, hey, you know, you're between your back office support fee, your background check, and your license, it's probably a $500 investment. If I'm even thinking that is that, people immediately go into, oh, then it's not a business. But it's the wrong mentality because, you know, moving forward, this is the business who has supported my children throughout the years. This is the business who it's super flexible. I can be in Mexico on a yacht as long as I have a phone, laptop, and internet. I'm good. So
well, yeah, I mean, it's paying my bills for the last 15 years. I mean, this is the first time in my life in the last 15 years that this is the only thing I do. I always had two businesses at the same time, you know. And
right.
This is, right now is for the last 15 years, yeah, since 2006.
I have Jorge Garcia asking two questions on two different industries, and I like to answer that as well. He says, what do you think about Bitcoin? Is it good or not? And then how about marijuana? Right? Well, I will answer that because I don't want to get you in trouble because I know you're.
but in a generic way, is both carry some risk, just like any other investment, you know. So there's nothing guaranteed. Can you make money? Sure. Can you lose money? Definitely. And so, you know, one is regulated, the other one is not. So it's just like you got to pull into anything. I mean, there's no business guaranteed of success. So just like we have to treat anything that we do in life with some sort of risk. We're going to marriage with a risk. We're going to do everything with risk.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could buy something guaranteed, it will cost definitely a lot of money, and that's why McDonald's costs that much. McDonald's offers
Correct.
some sort of, a fairly, what's it called, an income that you can pretty much foresee coming. And so that's why they charge you $1.5 or whatever for the franchise. So, but what Bitcoin is, it's something new. I mean, it's a currency. It's something that potentially the industry will get more and more close, but there's a long way to go to actually regulate it and make it safe. Because right now, I mean, gosh, I don't know if you heard on the TV that oil company got hacked, and they took the ransomware, which means that they hack your computer unless you pay them. They won't let you access the data. Well, they pay them on Bitcoin. Why? Untraceable. You can't pay anybody in cash. I mean, you go cash now, you can trace the transaction all over. Bitcoin is not. And that's what becomes a little bit more riskier, and that's where, IRS has its issues around it, and regulatory agencies have issues around it.
Well, and it's like anything. And I think Jorge Garcia, I'm going to invite you to our money show once a month on Mondays, okay? Because one of them, we talk a lot about this. So if you missed the last one, I'll send you a coin. I think next week is our money show, and we'll talk about this. But what I want to make sure that you guys understand, Bitcoin, marijuana, tacos, merchandise, it's the product. It's not the fact that you're going to become an entrepreneur. That one is just
the business around it.
Yes, that's just the product. So what do I think about you selling that product? Well, you got to be knowledgeable. If you're going to sell something, you better be a client of it. Okay. So what I would suggest for success, I would say, get somebody who's really good at the product that you want to sell and have them share your knowledge. That's where our strength comes, right? We know what we're talking about. We know the financial services industry. We know, per se, for me, the marketing industry. So I know how to mentor people in business entrepreneurship, financial services, and marketing, media marketing. Why? Because I've been in it long enough to know the do's and the don'ts. And so I'm not going to get into a business that I have no idea how to get to. Now, if I want to get into a business, Bitcoin, marijuana, I don't know, I want to start producing a movie. I want to start doing music. I want to have a shoe store. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go seek for mentorship first. Okay, so don't mess it up. Your hard money. The other thing is there's companies that, like Jorge just mentioned, require little to zero investment. Something like Bitcoin, you got to buy. Something like marijuana, you got to buy. Something like a shoe store, you got to go buy the inventory and the racks and the brick and mortar. So again, do you have a lot of money to invest? That should be the determination of where you want to start. So give me one last thought on that, Jorge.
Well, I love Joe Ingram's quote there that time is the only thing that you can't buy. So you definitely have a mindset of an entrepreneur. Time is of the essence. You can actually wait too long, and just as soon as you start, because it will take time. Everything will take time. So I would say don't just go for it. And you can do it safely. Like I did. I did it part-time at the beginning. I tested the waters, and then my burning the bridge was walking away from a stable 20-year career in engineering, but I knew what I was getting into, and I felt safe, and I had some experience of previous businesses. But if I could find a way to buy time, it's always saying, if I knew what I know now 20 years ago, oh my gosh, but so And then also there's a reality for people in the United States about retirement. There's going to be a moment that your income will never let you save enough money for you to put away for you to enjoy retirement. So eventually you will get to a point that you will have to either buy a business or build one. And so it's almost like some people might not be a choice.
Yeah. So we'll leave with that. Hopefully you guys got some great information today. If you want to go into business in the financial services industry, call Jorge. Call myself. Call myself. Jorge will probably talk to you anyways, even if you get a hold of me. But yeah, we're ready. We're ready to rock and roll. We're ready to take on some great new people that are serious about building a business. Now, in my industry, if you're looking to build just a book of business, then go work for Primerica or one of those companies. But if you're looking to build a business, an entrepreneurship with lifestyle, with freedom of time, with a lot of connections and the great mentorship team to last a lifetime, then give Jorge and I a call. Give my pitch. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jorge. Thanks for last minute jumping in. But, that's right. Well, see you next Monday because Mo Money is coming on and he'll be talking about silver and gold and Bitcoin and all kinds of stuff with me because obviously I got to go for mentorship when I'm trying to learn something, right? So I'm kind of giving you the roadmap on how to do it. But thank you so much, Jorge. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Hopefully you're successful.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way.